Hey, what's happening, YouTubers? Before we get started with the review, I do want to thank HoodedToyHunter for sponsoring this episode. I'll leave a link in the description below to his eBay and Instagram page. Hey, what's happening, YouTubers? Are back with a brand new action figure review, and I do want to give a special shout out to the HoodedToyHunter for providing me with these knockoff Sentinels to review today. If you want to go and check them out and purchase them, I'll leave a link in the description below to his eBay page as well as his Instagram page. But as I mentioned, these are knockoff Sentinels, so they're not the authentic version, but they're pretty damn good knockoffs if you ask me. Now, these knockoff Sentinels are based off of the original Toybiz Marvel Legends Sentinel Build-A-Figure that came out back in 2005. And just to put this out there in the beginning of the video to set expectations, I don't have the original Toybiz one for comparisons, but the most notable difference is going to be articulation. But without further ado, let's go and take a look at this Sentinel. And first thing I want to mention is that this thing is huge. Just for reference, like here is a random McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse figure, like next to the Sentinel. These typically scale at 7 inches. This Sentinel is about 16 inches tall, and I think that's what the original Toybiz one was, but this thing is huge. I'm like literally 2 feet behind my review desk just so I can capture it in frame. We're going to start with the head sculpt first, and I think it looks pretty good. In terms of the sculpting, it looks like a Sentinel to me, especially what we see in the comics and on the TV series, the animated series. It kind of looks like the one there, but it's just missing a lot of paint deco on the face, but it looks good overall. For customizers out there, this would be a perfect opportunity for you to like customize like a Sentinel face, but I think it looks pretty good, and I do like the dark purple metallic finish they're using for the head. And speaking of metallic finish, I do like the darker metallic finish they used on this knockoff version as opposed to the OG Toybiz one, and I also like the kind of like rusted, kind of like gritty, dirty look they have on the armor. It just looks awesome, especially for toy photography shots, just because it'll make it look like it's been through the war with the mutants or the X-Men. And I also like the intricate details, the sculpting within the Sentinel as well. You can see the wiring in there. So fantastic job. Even though it's a knockoff, there isn't any loss in terms of sculpt. You are getting pretty good sculpt throughout this figure. And then when looking at the back of the figure, you can see the attention to detail when it comes to the paint application and the details and the sculpting of this. It's all throughout this figure. So even though it is a knockoff, there's still a lot of attention to detail on here. Now, when it comes to articulation, as I mentioned earlier, that's the most notable difference between this and the Toybiz version. You still have your head that can tilt side to side here. It kind of moves left and right. It can't really go up and down. There are cuts on the arms, so you can move the arms forward and backwards. The only thing is there is no shoulder joint, so you can't move the arms out. And even though it looks like, I thought it was double jointed elbows, they're actually single jointed. And even though it looks like it has a diaphragm cut right here, you can't actually move that piece. It's all one sculpted piece. Now when it comes to the legs, it's a little bit different. There is a thigh swivel on there, so you can swivel the leg. The leg can go forward about that much and backward about that much. There is double jointed knees, which is pretty cool. And if you can see here, it has as much knee support as the HasLab Sentinel. Now, there isn't any articulation on the feet, so there's no ankle pivot there. There also isn't any articulation on the wrist, so it doesn't swivel. I do wish this figure had a swivel in the wrist at least. But like I mentioned, that's like the most notable difference between this knockoff Sentinel and the original Toybiz one is the lack of articulation. Now, having said that, lack of articulation shouldn't take away that this is a beautifully sculpted knockoff figure. I think there's a lot of attention to detail, like I mentioned. Even on the bottom of the feet, you can see the pattern and the detail on the Sentinel's boot. That's pretty awesome. All right, now we're going to jump right into size comparisons, and this is insane. Here's that knockoff Sentinel standing next to the 2 tallest figures I have in my collection. We have the Marvel Universe Galactus and the Stiltman Build-A-Figure with 3 sets of stilts on him, and he's all the way up there. And next size comparison, here's the knockoff Sentinel standing next to the Titan Heroes series Ant-Man, and then the Marvel Legends Deluxe Surtur. And next size comparison, here's the knockoff Sentinel standing next to the Marvel Legends Wolverine from the Apocalypse Build-A-Figure wave, and the Marvel Legends Jubilee from the Caliban Build-A-Figure wave. And in my opinion, I think they scale well with Marvel Legends, mainly because depending on what Sentinel you're going for, whether it was from the animated series or the comics, there are instances where the Sentinel is this tall or even other cases where it's even taller, but I think this works in terms of scale size. And next size comparison, here's the knockoff Sentinel standing next to a couple of Marvel Legends X-Men movie figures. We have the Marvel Legends Michael Fassbender Magneto and the Marvel Legends Amazon exclusive Logan. In terms of scaling, I think this works too. If you remember in X-Men Days of Future Past, there are Sentinels. Yes, it's not the same color, it is a different one. I still think this could work for your display if you have the movie figures and you want to kind of recreate that scene where Magneto controls the Sentinels. Next size comparison is just a random Marvel Legends character selection. We have the Marvel Legends Kang and the Marvel Legends Deluxe Maestro. And last size comparison, here's the knockoff Sentinel standing next to the Marvel Legends movie Deadpool and the Toybiz Morph figure. And I put the Toybiz Morph figure just in case you wanted to recreate that special scene.
To Oz in pieces.
Wolverine, pull back!
And I also put Morph in here just in hopes that Hasbro announces a Morph figure, hopefully sooner rather than later. Alright, some overall thoughts on this knockoff Sentinel figure is, I like it. You know, especially at the $100 price point. And the reason why I mention that is, who is this Sentinel for exactly? Because it lacks articulation, but in my opinion, it's for any collector out there. Say you're looking to have a Sentinel on your shelf, just for army building or something aesthetics, like I said, for the display, I recommend this because when you look at the alternatives, anything Sentinel related, whether it's the HasLab Sentinel in the secondary market or the Marvel Universe versions, like whether it was the silver one or the purple and dark purple version that was the Amazon exclusive, they're all going for ridiculous amounts, at least $200. Even the Toybiz one I think is still going for a ridiculous price. So if you're looking for a more affordable alternative, I highly recommend checking out these knockoff figures. You can find it on the link in the description below at the Hooded Toy Hunter's eBay page. And I'll be transparent and honest, this thing lacks hella articulation. However, it's still nicely sculpted to a point where it looks almost like the original Toybiz version. And having said that, even though it lacks the articulation, it's still beautifully sculpted. So you can still get some toy photography shots out of this at certain angles. But yeah, let me know what you think in the comments below, YouTubers. And like always, if you like what you see, be sure to hit that like button. If you haven't already yet subscribed to the channel, go ahead and subscribe. Thanks for watching.